Good afternoon, everyone. I
Good
want to
afternoon.
greet this wonderful panel who has joined us for our 28th Flint Community Webinar on Coronavirus. Thank you all for joining us today. For those of you that are joining us by YouTube, we are now streaming live. I want to invite you to maybe click over and invite some of your friends and colleagues to join us today. We have a very, very exciting webinar for you today. And so I'm excited to be here. I'm a little bit in a remote location, so I may have a little bit difficulty from time to time. But we are the Healthy Flint Research Coordinated Center sponsoring and hosting this webinar. I've had the privilege of moderating the 28 sessions, and so I just didn't want to lose my track record here today yet. I may get disconnected, so Dr. Deborah Holden will be able to carry on this session should we have a technical difficulty. As we continue, we are now rounding the curve to fall. And the Healthy Flint Research Coordinating Center is a community and academic partnership. We have endeavored to bring to you information around this coronavirus with a local perspective. We wanted to be sure that there was information that we were able to use on our day-to-day activities that would help us navigate this very difficult time. And as you can see, we have a number of community partners who have continued to be with us on this journey. And so again, for those of you that have joined us either in the webinar itself or via YouTube, we appreciate you staying in this work with us because you are able to share credible and important information with our family and friends, colleagues that may not be able to join us on a regular basis. Remember, we're inviting you to put questions in the Q&A as we move forward in this conversation today. And if you are joining us and you cannot see the screen, we want to invite you to send your questions in to info@hfrcc.org, or you can call 810-835-2130. This is a very, very important time. And the information I know that you will hear today, you will appreciate. And again, we want you to be sure that you're sharing this information with others. Our first update today will come from the city of Flint. We are always appreciative that the city of Flint, through Dr. Reynolds and his team, are able to share with us important information that our city has to offer. Dr. Reynolds.
Well, good afternoon, friends and neighbors, and I'd like my colleague Billy Mitchell, our public health manager, to open with some comments, and then I'll follow. Ms. Mitchell? Are you on mute?
She is on mute.
I'm
there
here.
She goes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just wanted to make everyone aware that we opened yesterday for residents to come in. The clerk's office at City Hall, that's why I say we, open for in-person absentee ballots. So you can vote in person from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday here at City Hall. There is also a drop box. It's brown and it has directions and absentee ballot literature or signage on the drop box, so you know not to put it in the other drop box, which is red and totally different from voting. So outside of City Hall, it's right there. We'll also be getting another drop box location at one of the fire stations. I will have the address for you on next week's webinar. And then at one of the senior citizen centers, I'll also have that address for you too. The boxes are not there yet, but as soon as they are, you'll have more information. I wanted to give you also information about the special dates and times that the clerk's office will be open on the weekends for you to do in-person absentee voting. Those dates are Saturday and Sunday, October 17th and 18th, 9 to 5. Saturday, October 24th from 9 to 5. Saturday and Sunday, October 31st and November 1st from 9 to 5. You can, again, vote in person on the weekend in the clerk's office here at 1101 South Saginaw in Flint. Opt-in forms. I told you last week that they were due on the 18th of September. That was the deadline. Now the deadline has been extended until November 19th. So I am still taking those forms down to Roe. I took a batch of forms down there this morning, so you can either email them to me at bmitchell, B as in boy, MITCHELL at cityofflint.com, or you can bring them in at 1101 South Saginaw City Hall. You can bring them in to me. Doesn't matter how you get them to me. I will take them down and hand them in person to the folks down at Roe. I think that's all I have, Dr. Reynolds. Is there anything else?
Well, I can go on for hours, but I'll try to keep it down to 5 minutes or less. There is the Michigan Safe Start Map, which has been updated on and changed on September 16th. So if you look at the map, and instead of seeing red, yellow, green, you are now going to see various shades of purple and blue, gray, and they will tell you the risk levels. So please go online and look at how things have been reorganized. Despite all that, we are in the Detroit region. We are still in the mid phase. And notice I didn't say middle phase. We have a long way to go to get out, and we have a little way to go to fall back in trouble. So please wear your mask. Please maintain physical distancing. And then we come to the holiday season. And the reason we're talking about Halloween now is because parents, we need to make our plans for our children and for ourselves. We need to really avoid crowds. We really need to separate households. So it's all right for you to do something in your household, but you put yourself at risk when you combine other households. So please, and if you're handing out candy, we'll probably go over these recommendations more and more in the future because they are detailed. The bottom line is wear your mask, wash your hands, have a physical distance between you and the trick-or-treaters, put the stuff on a table and it's already in sealed containers. Don't hand out anything that's not in a sealed wrapper because our goal is to reduce passing on the coronavirus. So please remember, whenever we give you a guideline, the guideline is the floor. In other words, it's the minimum of what you can do to reduce risk for yourself and your family. However, when you look at your individual situation, or if you have a sick family member in the household who is particularly vulnerable, you must revise that plan. And as I always say, if you go to a situation and it doesn't look right, you have your mask on, you have your hand sanitizer with you, but it's just not right, it's too crowded, back up, go home and change your plan. And now I'm going to get into a subject that I'm learning to deal with, and that is Medicare. We've talked to everybody about getting your immunizations. However, there is the shingles immunization that is classified as a medicine, which has allowed certain health plans to say that it is not covered and you may have to pay cash. A family member of mine went to a drugstore and they said, sure, we'll give you your shingles vaccine for $287. So before you go to a drugstore, before you go to your doctor's office, check with your health plan to find out what you are responsible for. Now, why a vaccine is considered a medication, I do not know. But these are the problems of the American medical system that get amplified in times of crisis. But please get your shingles vaccine because it can be extremely painful. It can be debilitating wherever those lesions break out. And those are those little blisters that are only on one side of your body and they do not cross the midline, but it can be anywhere on your body from your head to your toes. So please, for those of us who should get it, talk to your doctor, talk to your health plan, and find out how it's covered, and please get it. Even if you have to pay, it's worth the money.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. I'm really, this is amazing that we're talking about these vaccines and other kinds of things during a pandemic, but these are all issues that we need to be aware of. And when you spoke about the shingles vaccine, I got a note here. Jim Malinowski, who is the CEO of the health plan, says the health plan does cover shingles vaccine. So for all of those who are members of the health plan, they can get that vaccine covered. But I just want you to touch quickly, Dr. Reynolds, this is important for our children as well, because most of us who had chickenpox are most vulnerable for shingles. Is that correct?
That is correct. Shingles is a reactivation of chickenpox. It happens as you get older. However, I have a family member who was in basic training in the Navy, and he broke out in shingles, and the medics there weren't used to seeing it. So he got diagnosed over the phone. But as we get older, we are at risk. I went to a conference out of town, and I had this, it felt like someone was scraping a knife across the inside on one side of my abdomen. Shingles is not to be messed with. It can get across your eyes. And the lesions, your eye rather, your lesions are contagious. So if someone who has not had chickenpox has skin contact with your shingles lesions, you can give them chickenpox. So please, it's important. You do not want to experience the pain and the discomfort. It can get real serious.
Dr. Reynolds, I know we've got a lot on our plate today, but there's one more question about this. If you have never had chickenpox, are you still at risk for shingles?
Well, a lot of people don't know if they never had chickenpox. So yes, you are at risk for shingles, and no, you do not want to get chickenpox at any age. So you may want to get your blood titers checked, and you may want to see what immunization will be appropriate for you at your age.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. And there's so much. So I'm going to ask people continue to put those questions in. Our great panel is here to answer those questions for you. We want to remind you, we are 6 days now to the end or the completion of our census count. September 30th is still the date. We've made great progress, as we learned from Tony Turner last week, but we need to keep going. So we're going to encourage you. Let's keep going. As a matter of fact, we have some wonderful initiatives that are happening this weekend. One today. If we can go to that next slide, we have an event that's happening this afternoon. It's called Change the Future from 5 to 8 p.m. at Coma Books and Social Club. Then tomorrow, Saturday, September 26th from 12 to 4, Hasselbreen Community Center on Holmes Street. And then Census Tuesday, September 29th from 3 to 6 p.m. They're giving out free tacos for the first 200 people who come to get assistance with the enumerators to complete their census on Tuesday. So please keep these dates in mind. Let's make sure we do what we can to get 100% complete count for the city of Flint and all of Genesee County for this census 2020. Thank you so much in advance. Now, Suzanne Cooper, who has been on with us along with Dr. Reynolds every week. Suzanne, give us an update from the county.
So as of yesterday, we posted to the Genesee County Health Department's website 3,651 positive COVID-19 test results with 281 deaths. Again, a reminder, this is not reflective of all the numbers of cases that have likely been in our community because we had limited testing at the beginning of the pandemic. Our concern is that our positivity rate is going up. It is now 3.8. Last week it was 2.1. So it's a critical reminder for everyone, please wear your mask, appropriately social distance, wash your hands frequently, use hand sanitizers. Again, do all the things that we continue to remind you of so that we can keep that positivity rate down and that we can continue to do all the activities that all of us would like to do, including, again, monitoring our schools and making sure that our children are safe. Dr. Reynolds talked about the shingles vaccination, but I'm going to remind everyone that it is time to get a flu vaccine, that we are going to have 2 respiratory illnesses this fall and this winter, COVID-19, and also we're going to have influenza. So please take advantage and get vaccine. We know there are some challenges with vaccine delivery and availability, so I encourage you to check in with your local physician or your pharmacy, find out what vaccine they have available, and please get your flu shot. It's one of the ways that you can protect yourself and your family members, but it'll also help us make sure that we minimize the impact of flu this season so that we keep those emergency rooms available for anyone that has COVID-19 symptoms. This is also a reminder, again, with Dr. Reynolds talking about shingles and other health-related issues, how important it is to have a medical home and to take care of your health. So get your screenings, get your immunizations, eat right, exercise, do all the things that we continue to remind you to do to keep your immune system up and functioning well. That includes taking care of not only your physical health, but also your mental health. All of those things are so important for us, again, as we enter into this season when we're going to have 2 respiratory related illnesses. Also want to remind you that May through October is the time frame that we also see Legionnaire's disease. So that's another respiratory illness that we are still seeing. So remind everyone to think about that, take appropriate precautions, but most importantly, if you're ill, go and check with your healthcare provider and make sure that you're taking appropriate directions so that you can take care of your health. Dr. Reynolds brought up Halloween, and I'm glad he did that because it is time to think about ways that we can safely have fun with our children during that holiday season. So I want you all to know that on our website, www.gchd.us, if you click on the COVID-19 button, on the right-hand side of the screen, there will be a button that says Halloween. You can click on that button and it'll have the guidance information from the CDC, from Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. It'll also have a link to the Harvard risk map, so you can compare that to the one that Dr. Reynolds described earlier from the state. And also we'll have suggestions for fun activities that you can do that minimize risk for Halloween so that you can enjoy the holiday season, but also, again, take very good care of yourself and your family. I do want to remind everyone about the testing locations that are available in our community. The 3 new community testing sites are still up and running: Word of Life, Bethel United Methodist Church, and Macedonia Baptist Church. Again, they're doing a saliva test, so we don't want you to eat, drink, chew gum, use tobacco products for 30 minutes prior to your visit. All those sites have been assessed, so they're all ADA accessible. We do encourage reservations, or if you will, appointments, but you also want to be aware that they will take anyone who's a walk-in. They test both adults and children. There is no ID that is required. If you do have insurance, they will attempt to bill your insurance, but there's no cost to you for getting that test. There is translation services available for anyone that has English as a second language or anyone who might be from our deaf and hard of hearing community. So those services are available as well. You will get your test results. They're trying to keep them coming back within 72 hours or 3 days once you get your test. Know that you will be communicated by how you ask them to communicate with you about your test results. We also have the other locations in our community that are still providing testing. We have the Rite Aid in Swartz Creek and the Rite Aid on Clio Road in Flint. We also have Hamilton Community Health Network offering testing at the site at North Point and at the fire station at the corner of South Saginaw and Bristol Road in Burton. We also have the Walmart Supercenter, and all of these centers are available by appointment. So I encourage you to make an appointment and be tested and to utilize them. For all of our school partners and all of our families that are listening in, please remember to utilize these locations for testing. They will take care of anyone who is symptomatic or asymptomatic. So please, again, remember what they are and access them and make sure that you get tested. Recognize that you may need to get tested more than once. I do want to remind everyone that the health department is open for business and that we are doing our clinical appointments in Burton by appointment only. So WIC, family planning, immunizations, and sexually transmitted infection testing are all being done. Reminder that we are practicing what we share with you. So when you come, you will have your temperature screened. They'll ask you a few screening questions before you go in for your appointment. We are appropriately social distancing and practicing all those measures that we share with all of you each week. So we are available if you need anything. And I wanted to say kudos to Genesee Health Plan for the amazing flu clinic that you offered last week. I was there, I got my flu shot. It was an amazing turnout. And I'm so happy to say that there were a lot of folks who've never gotten a flu shot who went and got their flu shot. So again, kudos, keep up the good work, everyone, and please get your flu shot.
Thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate that update. And we certainly appreciate all of you that supported. We want to ask you to continue to put those questions and answers in the queue. I do want to ask this question openly. It was in the queue and not sure if everybody saw the answer, but the question was, if you have had a shingle shot previously, should you get another one? And I think Dr. Reynolds, you might be on tap to answer that question quickly.
Yes,
Yes.
there is a new improved shingles immunization for people over age 50. It's called Shingrix. You receive 2 doses, 2 to 6 months apart, but it's 90% effective. So yes, I myself have had the old one in the past and went back and got the new one.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. And I was about to say that I also want to support and appreciate those that supported the event last week with just a tremendous turnout. Over 200 individuals and families came out and got their flu vax last week at the health plan. And I know Jim Melanowski is on. He may want to have a quick word about that. And while he's opening his mic, I want to also say that we just got word. I appreciate all of you. I want to give kudos to those of you that participated in our Q&A, because they gave me an update that a judge in California has ruled that there will be an extension of the census count until October 31st. So those of you that gave us that updated information, thank you so much. We have it until October 31st. So let's keep the work going. Let's make sure we get fully counted here in Flint, Genesee County. Jim, a quick update.
Oh, just again, it was a great event. I felt bad that we had to turn a few people away. We ran out of flu vaccines. So I think more to come on this. And I think we should encourage everybody to get one and to work together on doing more of these events that we give these flu shots out.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Let's go now to Gary Jones. Gary has been a faithful participant, giving us all wonderful updates from the governor's office. And so Gary, tell us what's going on right now.
Oh, hey, thanks, Yvonne. So right now, statewide total confirmed cases of COVID-19 are now at 119,597. Total COVID-19 related deaths are at 6,700. And total of recovered COVID-19 cases are at, as of September 18th, 90,216. So just as a note, that recovered is defined as the number of persons with a confirmed COVID-19 diagnosis who are alive 30 days post-onset. So recently, the governor, soon, there will be a passed budget for the 2021 budget fiscal year. and it will be focused on education and healthy families. So she will soon sign her second budget into law amidst the global pandemic that created one of the most challenging and unique budget cycles in Michigan's history. It's a budget that will deliver on many of our signature priorities, including the Michigan Reconnect program for a tuition-free pathway for adults, funding for the Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies program to ensure women have the care they need for a healthy pregnancy, as well as expanding access to childcare for families. The budget will protect schools, colleges, universities, and local governments from any state funding reductions below their original 2020 funding levels. The governor also recently announced bold action to protect public health and create clean energy jobs by making Michigan carbon neutral by 2050. So the governor signed an executive order and as well as an executive directive to create the the My Healthy Climate Plan. The governor's comprehensive plan will protect Michiganders' public health and the environment and help develop new clean energy jobs by putting Michigan on a path towards becoming fully carbon neutral by 2050. Also, recently there was a video that was posted. It's a sit down with top advisors, the governor's top advisors, to discuss Michigan COVID-19 response over the past 6 months. So in this new video, the governor sits down with Michigan's chief medical executive and MDHHS chief deputy for health, Dr. Janae Caldoun, and her chief legal counsel, Mark Totten, to discuss Michigan's ongoing response to COVID-19 over the past 6 months. Both Totten and Dr. Caldoun have worked in tandem with the governor and many others to ensure Michigan's swift response to the virus to save lives. Since Michigan's first case of COVID-19 in March, they have each worked around the clock to implement executive orders, directives, and policies that protect the health and safety of Michigan families, frontline workers, educators, and small businesses. Also, Michigan's health insurers have agreed to provide COVID-19 testing treatment at no cost to patients through the end of 2020. So the governor and the Michigan Department of Insurance and Financial Services announced that the state has secured agreements from nearly all of the state's health insurers to waive all out-of-pocket costs for COVID-19 testing and treatments through the end of 2020. This also includes co-pays, deductibles, and co-insurance. These agreements cover more than 92% of the commercial health insurance market inside of the state of Michigan. And as always, as a reminder to everyone, michigan.gov/coronavirus is still the best place to keep updated.
Thank you, Gary. Good to know how hard the governor has been working to make sure that our schools and children are taken care of, along with the other many things that the state is focusing in on. We have a couple questions in the queue, and then we're going to shift to respond to some of the requests that came from many of you. Dr. Reynolds, I'm going to ask you again. This is in the queue, but I think it's important for everyone to hear. Will the shingles vaccine protect you from chickenpox? Dr.
It is
Reynolds?
not known and is not worth taking the chance because chickenpox can be a pretty serious condition. Most people between 30 and 50 are probably positive for chickenpox. And after 50 and up, you can get the shingles vaccine. But the shingles vaccine, there's no proof that it will protect you from chickenpox.
Okay, we have one other quick question. Someone says, I haven't had a flu shot in years. If I take it now, will I get the flu? First time I did, and it was horrible. So Dr. Reynolds, also real quickly, could you make the distinction between the virus in the chest flu and other types of viruses that we often call flu?
Yes, and let's distinguish two timings. A lot of people say when they got the flu shot last week, they got the flu the next week. It ain't necessarily so. There's many viruses that can cause flu-like symptoms, as you said. Now, the flu vaccine is not perfect. Depending on what flu virus is actually going around determines how successful we will be. But it may make that infection milder. So I have had a flu shot ever since it first came out in the 70s because I can't risk the serious complications of influenza. Influenza kills over 100,000 people in the United States every year. So we have treatments for it. We have a vaccine for it. So it's best to get the vaccine so you don't need the antiviral treatment. But at least we're in better shape than we are with coronavirus.
Thank you, Dr.
Remind
Reynolds. And
everyone, it takes a little while for your body to build up antibodies once you get that flu vaccine. That's one of the reasons why we encourage people to get it in September or in October, when we, because as after that we start to see the flu virus transmitted in community. You take about 2 weeks in order to get those antibodies built up. So that's another reason why we're encouraging everyone to get your flu shot now.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds and Suzanne. As you can see, there are many questions around this, and we won't stop responding to these questions as we move forward in the days and weeks to come. As we've all heard, we're entering into this very difficult season, and we want to be protected. So it's time to do that. As we've continued our conversations over the week, and as you can see, many of us have a great deal of concerns. We're working at high levels of stress. And so we've asked a very helpful and just a tremendous young lady, Claudia A. Finkelstein, to come and participate in our webinar today. And I'm going to ask Dr. Deborah Forholden. I'm just trying to make sure we connected. Are you able to take over in the event that my internet remains a little bit shaky?
I'm here, partner.
All right. That's what a good HFRCC partnership is all about. We can depend on each other to make it happen. So Dr. Deborah, would you take over here? I just don't want to lose any of these key important issues that are going to be raised by Dr. Finkelstein. This is response to many of our participants' questions.
Great. Thanks so much. I'm going to be super brief. Dr. Finkelstein joined us, I don't know, maybe over a year ago at Michigan State, as we were ourselves going through major issues around wellness on campus. And so I trust her fully, and I'm happy that she was able to take some time out today to speak to us really practically about what people are dealing with during the pandemic and strategies that people can implement to maintain their wellness. She's a physician. She also serves as our Director of Wellness, Resilience, and Vulnerable Populations here at Michigan State. While she's not housed in Flint, she's a friend of Flint. So Dr. Finkelstein, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Deborah. I'm really grateful for the invitation and the ability to come and speak with you. Can you move to the next slide, please, Tay? Thank you. So very frequently when people hear that someone's going to come talk to them about wellness, there's an internal, if not an external, eye roll, because given the enormity of all the stuff going on, I think people think, how are we ever going to be well? So we'll start with what is the definition of wellness? And no one's come up with a really great one yet, but people like to make different spheres that all put together contribute to someone's wellness. If you look closely at the spheres here, you'll see that some of them are more within our grasp than others. It would be lovely if environmental and financial and occupational circumstances were fully under our control. And for many of us, they're really not, particularly these days, right? But if you look at the top, emotional, there are things that we can do to bolster our emotional strength. There are things in terms of the social and spiritual that we can do also. And I think just the fact that you have been 28 weeks strong doing this community webinar, that's one huge wellness thing, because information and community is absolutely power. So Dr. Verholden asked me to go over maybe a couple of the stresses going on. I actually really did have a dumpster fire outside my apartment the other day, but I didn't have time to catch a photo of it. So I think this slide sort of captures the reality now. Breonna Taylor, so recent, so fresh. The election, so close and so scary. A Supreme Court vacancy, and these are only the most recent layer of things, right? This is on top of COVID, which is, you know, coronavirus is a novel coronavirus, which means there's so much we don't know about it. But on top of what we don't know, there's all the bill of goods were being sold in different directions, right? So it's really hard. We all have to become our own risk experts, even for something like, do we trick or treat? Do we give candy? You know, it's things that were normal are no longer normal. There's the huge question of what's going on with your finances and employment. What do you do if you got little kids at home, trying to homeschool, trying to do your own work, trying to sleep in there? So, and this, for the country at large, is big and bad and scary. And the community of Flint, on top of that, has been dealing for years with more nefarious stuff with the lead. And so I tell you this not to bum you out, but because you already know it, and because pretending that it's not there doesn't do any of us a favor, right? So given the face of this reality, what do we do? Yeah, go ahead and switch the slide. Thank you. What do we do? And I think what we need to do is first begin with what is really within your sphere of control, your own individual basic needs. It's amazing to me the number of people that are having to go with inadequate sleep, or not the right food, or not a safe shelter. So again, not to bum you out, but to give a context that before you can necessarily change the entire world, it's actually legitimate and okay to try to attend to your very own needs so that you will have the flexibility, creativity, and strength to do what needs to be done. All right. So this slide looks like it comes out of nowhere. What does it have to do with anything? And I'll tell you, this guy, Robert Sapolsky, is a PhD from Stanford who many years ago wrote this book, noticing zebras come under tremendous acute stress, right? When the predator is after them, they are under tremendous acute stress, all the stress hormones flying. The chase is on. They're either caught, which is one outcome, or they escape. And when they escape, within minutes, they're munching the grass again, right? They don't have all that extra brain power that we've got to go, oh my gosh, what if he would have caught me? What am I going to do next time? Blah, blah. You know, the physiologic stress response of the zebra gets dissipated with the run, and then forget about it. Carry on with life. Please go to the next slide. Thank you. So what does this have to do with anything? It's kind of, we are perfectly designed for one kind of stress, and we live in another. This is supposed to be a polar bear on a tropical island, right? The polar bear is perfectly evolved for the Arctic or the Antarctic. I don't know which one they really live at, but anyway, perfectly evolved for the cold, the ice flows, the water, etc. So it's a perfectly evolved organism, and if you put the polar bear on a tropical island, they will not thrive. And I think this is a great metaphor for our sort of human stress response, right? We are perfectly designed for a world that we no longer live in, right? So if you go to the next slide, please. So, you know, we have the nervous system that we are in control of, the nervous system where your brain tells your hand to pick up your glass of water and you drink it, the one that puts one foot in front of the other, etc. But there's the other nervous system called autonomic, the nervous system that takes care of all the functions that you're not attending to necessarily all the time. The parasympathetic nervous system is kind of the rest and digest system, right? It's when you're calm, your heartbeat is slow, you digest well. That's the parasympathetic activation. The sympathetic nervous system is when you get terrified or stressed, and it makes you ready to run like the zebra, right? Your heart rate goes up, your digestion slows down because it's not time to digest, it's time to run. So each system necessary, each system serves a purpose. However, we don't get a chance frequently to unload that sympathetic drive, and we are perpetually in the stress response. So we sort of evolved for acute stress and dissipation, and we live in the chronicity of it. If you go to the next slide, please. This is a term that I heard just fairly recently describing what is our world like now, you know, and VUCA, it has like a terrible sound to it, and I think it kind of nails it. The volatility, you know, things are changing really quickly to a huge extent and very unpredictably, right? That's the the uncertainty. And we've already talked about the uncertainty. You know, there's what's not known about the virus, and there's not known about what's true about what we're being told, right? So there's layer upon layer. So there's volatility, rapid, crazy change. Uncertainty, because there's so much not knowable. Complexity, it's so hard to make any decision that makes sense, right? Do I go to work and earn money and put myself and my family at risk? Do I not go to work and not have assets? You know, no decision is a simple cut and dried one. And ambiguity, multiple points of view. So we're evolved for one system. We're living in a highly volatile, uncertain, complex world. So what's a guy to do, right? So you can fight VUCA with VUCA. And I think this is sort of within the sphere of our control. Like, what is our real vision? What am I here to do? It's often helpful to believe in our own purpose, even if it's just, I will do right by my children and keep them healthy, safe, and sane. I will get up every day and make an effort. You know, some vision, an understanding that this is, it is chaos. It's not you that's not, that's not getting it. There's not really an it to be gotten. So some clarity, you know, what are the things that I can control and what are the tools that I need in order to control them, as well as some degree of agility. So in the next slide, please, I'm just going to show you the power of your mind, I hope. This is a very brief exercise just to show you the power that your mind has. So if you'll humor me, if it's not hard for you to close your eyes, go ahead and close them. If not, you can keep them just focused on the lemon. And I'd like you to bring to mind a lemon. Think of the waxy skin. Think of the little pores in it. Think of the smell if you bring it up to your nose. Think of slicing that lemon and bringing the cut surface right up to your nose, and maybe even squeeze it a little and see if any of the juice comes out. Take a deep, deep smell of that lemon. Okay. Now, I'm not going to add, there's no show of hands possible, but I wonder if anyone noticed saliva coming into their mouths, right? So we do not have a real lemon, but we do have a real physical response to our mental concept of a lemon. I show you this as an example of the power of our mind, that parasympathetic nervous system that we want to harness, that will control our breathing and our stress hormones, and probably on some level our immune responses. We can harness that just using the power of the mind. So I come back to the wellness slide and just look at holding still, kind of a fearless look at what are the things that you can control. And some of these emotional aspects we can control with the power of the mind. Go ahead to the next slide, please. However, no matter how well intended you are, you can't keep running on fumes, right? I know. So I'm kind of lucky that my kids are grown now. I think having small children and trying to earn a living and homeschool them and keep your own tank fueled seems almost insurmountable. And I used to feel selfish if I'm like, oh, I want to go take a walk by myself and just not listen to these guys for a while. But actually, it's not an act of selfishness to refuel yourself. This is where your creativity, your good mood, your adaptability all come from. And it's not easy, right? So what will help us get through this? Number one, in my fire spewing volcano slide, and sort of recognize, acknowledge, and name what's going on, not to wallow in it, but to acknowledge. Pretending it's not there is rarely useful. The next thing is balancing. We all need to know what's going on, but how much and from what source, right? I know there's a great expression of doom scrolling, which I engage in on a regular basis past bedtime. When you're just scrolling through your phone and there's more and more and more inflammatory stuff. So consider limiting what you let in, both to your body and to your mind. Can you go back one? Sorry. The flexibility and communication. Yeah, go ahead. You were right. Sorry. All right, so in this moment, it's like each of us have areas where we're doing better or worse. And I wonder if you would do just an internal inventory for yourself. Am I getting enough sleep? Do I move my body at all? Even just getting up and walking around whatever space you're in for a few minutes, just to get out of the office chair. We were talking earlier about wearing out office cushions. Nutrition, also tough, but looking at it as fuel for a healthy body as opposed to punishment or just relief of suffering. The news we talked about, learning to regulate our emotions, very important. And I hope to go through another small exercise at the end of this talk to help you learn a little bit of emotional regulation. The community connection, I think, is so strong in Flint. And I think that's one thing that's keeping you guys absolutely going. And connect with your own purpose. So if we go to the next slide. So when people talk about acceptance, it doesn't mean that what we accept is what we love. But if you're standing in the path of this wave and you go, I don't like the fact that that wave is there, it's still going to knock you over, right? So the serenity prayer holds true over and over and over again. We need to know what we can't change. We need to know and have the courage to change what we can. And I think an empty tank doesn't fuel it. So please come to the next slide. And so I'm going to guide you briefly, because I know we have another speaker, to a safe space imagery, which you can do on your own to harness your own parasympathetic nervous system to de-escalate you and help you have flexibility of mind and some tranquility. So again, if you're able to close your eyes without a problem, please do so. Otherwise, you can leave them gently unfocused. And just sit in a position that you're comfortable, but not a total slouch, right? A bit of human dignity with a posture that requires a little effort. And just drop into the stillness of your body. Notice what it's like not to be having to go anywhere or do anything other than to sit here right now. And then bring into your mind's eye a path. Could be a gravel path, could be a sidewalk, it could be bark, whatever you feel that you would like to walk on right now. And just let yourself start walking in your mind's eye. And as you walk, you feel the ground giving way under your feet. You may feel a breeze just tickling your hair or your bare skin. You may smell what's around you, maybe the salty ocean air, maybe a pine forest. You connect with where you're walking to. Where are you heading? Feeling the ground, feeling the air, smelling the smells. And you walk until you reach a space that you'd feel comfortable just having a seat. You can sit or lie down and let your whole body just be. Because in this space, you are completely safe. You're getting nurtured by your own resources, refueling, connecting with your breath, your heartbeat, and just the safety of this spot that you're in. See if you can imprint the memory of what it feels like to be in your safe space. And know that you can come back here anytime. This was just a super brief visit. But, you know, acknowledge the rest, perhaps, that you have had. Bring yourself back to your feet and begin to walk back. Walking back maybe a little more quickly, still aware of the air and the smell. Noticing how your body feels swinging on the walk back. And then bring your attention right back to yourself and your breath. And then when you're comfortable, you can open your eyes and rejoin the room. And just see if that exercise helped you to feel any better at all, you know? I'm gonna give you, in the 2 minutes remaining, some practical steps. So to name things, you can do rip up pages. Just get up, write down whatever comes to mind that's driving you crazy, and you don't have to show it to anyone. Rip it up. A gratitude journal is a great thing. If you write down 3 things that you're grateful for each day, you begin to notice and focus on things to be grateful for. A daily intention is a great thing. Today, I won't yell at my kid. Or today, I won't drink half a pot of coffee. You know, whatever your intention is. Practice a pause. I'll show you the Headspace app in a minute. Go ahead to the next one. Yes, okay, so my slides are a little bit out of order, sorry. So I think the governor and this app Headspace have arranged to make Headspace free for all Michigan residents. And you can go on the website and listen to multiple relaxation exercises. Or, next slide. They also have movement. So this is one app that is free for all of us who live in Michigan that you can use both for mental relaxation and mindful movement. Now, if you could just go back to the slide, the second slide of practical tips. Thank you. So moving soundtrack. So you can change your mood in a heartbeat by changing the soundtrack. So think about choosing it deliberately. This one's a huge challenge for me, to try to stay away from my screen and then connect with each other. So you can go ahead to the very last slide. Thank you. Oh yeah, stay healthy. The world needs you. I think everybody has said these things and they are absolutely vital. And then one more. Don't forget, you're not crazy. The times are crazy and the world needs you to be your strongest, most resilient self, because this shit can't go on.
Yes.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Dr. Finkelstein, thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel better having gone through the exercises. We appreciate you, Dr. Finkelstein. Thank you so much. I want to just give Katie Baxter at the Genesee Health System just a minute or two. Katie, if you could point us to any critical resources you think are important for adults specifically trying to manage wellness and mental health and behavioral health.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you, Dr. Finkelstein, for that nice exercise. That was very relaxing and very nice. I just want to take a minute to remind the community and all of our partners that Genesee Health System is still here and providing most or all of the services we've been providing. And it's very important that we take care of our mental health as well as our physical health. In previous sessions, we talked about services that were available for children. Keep in mind, we have services for people of all ages, from infants to elderly folks. So we have many, many services available at Genesee Health System. We have an integrated healthcare center called Genesee Community Health Center, and there we provide integrated health. It's primary care, excuse me, but in addition to primary care, we have social workers and peers and other mental health professionals that help individuals not only work on their medical or physical health needs, but also other kinds of needs they might have, such as counseling and access to psychiatric medication, and needs that they may have in the community related to housing or clothing or other kinds of needs. We also have a variety of specialty programming for individuals with severe or serious mental illness and individuals with developmental disability. We have an array of many services that we offer. Those are all accessed through our Access Center on our main campus at 420 West 5th Avenue, which is kind of kitty corner from Hurley. And so I want to encourage people to access services if they need to. We also have many services that we continue to provide for people affected by the Flint water crisis. So people do not have to have a serious mental illness to access all of our services. We have services for all people who are struggling with mental health and physical health issues as well. So I want to just note the numbers that we have available. 810-257-3740 is our main crisis hotline number, and that is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. So please feel free to access that if you or someone you know are having a mental health or substance abuse crisis. We also, the Access Center is also where people can access substance abuse services as well, whether those are services for opioid use disorder or other substance use disorders. So we have that available to you. I want to offer our number for our water crisis, a number which is 810-257-3777. Again, that is 810-257-3777. And that is for individuals who have been impacted by the Flint water crisis, whether you are a parent of a child or you are an adult. We also have, as I mentioned, Genesee Community Health Center. That number is 810-496-5777. Thank you so much for your time. And remember that mental health matters and we are here for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Katie. True to form, I cannot let the clock hit 1:01. So you guys know, honor the protocols, finish your census, plan your vote, vote your plan, in-person voting open. Thanks to Billy Mitchell for giving us that. You've got the protocols, please honor them. Any community health workers interested in CEUs, email us, info@healthyflint.org. Please like and subscribe on Facebook and our YouTube channel, and complete the 1-minute pop-up evaluation that'll come up at the end. We want to let all of our speakers, including Dr. Finkelstein, know what you thought and hear about what you'd like to see next week. We will see you next week with your favorite moderator when she gets back, having poured into herself, Yvonne Lewis, on September 25th. On behalf of the Healthy Flint Research Coordinating Center, thank you, everybody. Panelists, stay on just a sec and make sure you answered all the Q&A. And thanks, everybody. We appreciate you.